Hello there, fifth graders. Welcome to your next math lesson. Go ahead at the top of the next available page in your math notebook. Please write the title of today's lesson, which is Find the Unknown. So recall from a previous chapter that when there's an unknown in a math problem that's replaced by a letter or symbol, we call that a variable. So let's say in a situation like n times 3 equals 18. This unknown value replaced by an n is called a variable. Now, in this case, we're not solving for what's to the right of the equal sign. We already have that. That's what we're used to. And instead, we're solving for what n is. So when we find the answer, it's going to be n equals blank. That's what we're looking for right there. What times 3 equals 18? Now, the best way to do this is what's called inverse operations. And inverse operations are operations that undo each other, because if it's true that n times 3 equals 18, it's also true that 18 divided by 3 equals n. And now we can see 18 divided by 3 equals 6, which means n equals 6. Now let's say you have a hard time understanding how to use the inverse operation. Well, a great way to find that inverse operation is to use fact families. So let's just create a fact family with these three numbers. One of the numbers is an unknown, but we can still create a fact family. If it's true that n times 3 equals 18, it's also true that 3 times n equals 18. And if that's true, it's also true that 18 divided by n equals 3, and it's also true that 18 divided by 3 equals n. Notice that when you're doing the two multiplication parts of your fact family, the two factors just switch spots. And when you're doing the division part of your fact family, the dividend stays in the same place, and the divisor and the quotient switch spots. So if you understand that, it makes it a lot easier to create the fact family and not to get the numbers mixed up in ways that don't make sense. Once you've created your fact family, you just pick whichever one has the unknown on the right side of the equal sign, and that's what you use to find the value of your unknown. 18 divided by 3, that means 18 divided into or separated into 3 equal parts equals 6. Because see, if we let's say we take 18 marbles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Whoops, my head's in the way. If we separate that, there's 18 marbles here. And if we separate that into equal groups of 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we get 6 equal groups of 3. So 18 divided by 3 equals 6. Okay, so that's how you find the unknown. We've tried one with multiplication. Now let's try one with division. Let's do 42 divided by y equals 6. And you can pick any letter you want for the unknown. I picked y here. Here I picked n. It's just a letter that represents an unknown value. So here we're solving for y. We're trying to figure out what equals 6 when you divide it into 42. 42 divided by what? This unknown amount equals 6. So we can, again, use this same strategy of making a fact family. So if it's true that 42 divided by y equals 6, it's also true that 42 divided by 6 equals y. Notice the dividend stays in the same spot, and the divisor and the quotient just switch spots. Okay? And if that's true, if it's true that 42 divided by y equals 6 and 42 divided by 6 equals y, it also has to be true that y times 6 equals 42. And it's also true that 6 times y equals 42. Now, which of these, in this case, it's actually better not to use inverse operations. With division, it works to still use division, because when you make your fact family, it's in one of the division problems that the unknown ends up on the right side of the equal sign. So 42 divided by what equals 6? Well, 42 divided by 6 equals 7. So that means y equals 7. Also, 7 times 6 equals 42, and 6 times 7 equals 42. So that's the unknown. Okay, let's try it with an addition problem. 7 plus, let's do b, equals 13. How can we figure out what b is? Well, you can do fact families with addition and subtraction too, just like how you can do them with multiplication and division, because if it's true that 7 plus b equals 13, it's also true that b plus 7 equals 13, which makes it also true that 13 minus b equals 7, and 13 minus 7 equals b. Now, which of these has the unknown on the right side of the equal sign? It's 13 minus 7 equals b. 13 minus 7 is 6, which means b equals 6. So 7 plus 6 equals 13. Let's do a couple more. Let's see, we've done multiplication, we've done division, we've done addition. We haven't done subtraction yet. Let's do a subtraction problem. Let's do 16 minus p equals 6. And just like fact families work for multiplication and division and addition, they also work for subtraction too, because if it's true that 16 minus p equals 6, it's also true that 16 minus 6 equals p. And it's also true that p plus 6 equals 16, and it's also true that 6 plus p equals 16. Which of these has the unknown on the right side of the equal sign? It's 16 minus 6 equals p. So what's 16 minus 6? 16 minus 6 is 10, which means p equals 10. And that's the answer. P equals 10. So 16 minus 10 equals 6. And let's see, we've done all 4 operations now. I want to do another one with subtraction and another one with division before we're done, because you've seen it with the minuend being an unknown, and you've seen it with the divisor being an unknown. So I want to show you what it looks like when the dividend and when the, I said minuend. You've seen it when the subtrahend is an unknown, and you've seen it when the divisor is an unknown. I want you to see what it looks like when the dividend and when the minuend are an unknown. So let's do p divided by 3 equals 7. Whoops, you can barely see it. P divided by 3 equals 7. So now the dividend is an unknown. So if it's true that p divided by 3 equals 7, remember, when you're making your fact family, the dividend stays in the same place. It's also true that p divided by 7 equals 3. And if that's true, it's also true that 3 times 7 equals p, and it's also true that 7 times 3 equals p. Notice in the fact family, when the dividend is the unknown, once you switch to multiplication, it ends up on the right side of the equal sign twice. So 3 times 7 is 21, and 7 times 3 is 21, which means p equals 21. So we found that unknown. Let's do one with subtraction now, where the minuend is the unknown. Let's do x. Let's scoop this up. Let's do x minus 4 equals 12. So we can make a fact family here too. If it's true that x minus 4 equals 12, it's also true that x minus 12 equals 4. Oops. And if that's true, it's also true that 12 plus 4 equals x. And it's also true that 4 plus 12 equals x. Which of these can we use to find the unknown? We can use either of the addition problems, because the unknown is on the right side in both of those. So 12 plus 4 equals what? 16. 12 plus 4 equals 16, which means x equals 16. Okay, so that's how you find unknowns. You use the inverse operation, and if you have trouble finding the inverse operation, finding out how to use it, the best way is to make your fact family and then pick whichever one of them has the unknown on the right side of the equal sign. So I'm going to give you some independent problems now. Let's see, which ones have I not already given you? I'd like you to do 5 plus n equals 15. I'd like you to do q minus 8 equals 3. So that's an, oops, you can't even see it. Okay, here's your independent work. 5 plus n equals 15. Solve for n. Q minus 8 equals 3. Solve for q. Do n divided by 2 equals 6. Solve for n here. And do 7 times L equals 28 and solve for L. Go ahead and do those 4 problems for your independent practice. And then click on the video attached below this one to see if you did them right. And I will see you there.